Long before the rise of civilizations, before the construction of cities, pyramids, and empires, vast herds of enormous animals roamed across frozen grasslands that stretched from Western Europe to North America, dominating one of the harshest environments that has ever existed on Earth. Among these creatures, none captured the imagination quite like the mammoths, towering relatives of modern elephants whose curved tusks, thick fur, and immense size made them some of the most recognizable animals of the Ice Age and some of the most successful large mammals in history. For hundreds of thousands of years, mammoths survived brutal winters, dramatic climate changes, and the arrival of new predators, thriving across continents while countless other species disappeared from the world around them. Today, their remains continue to emerge from frozen ground, offering scientists extraordinary glimpses into a lost world that vanished only a few thousand years ago, and helping us understand how these remarkable animals once lived. The story of the mammoths began millions of years before the last ice age, when ancient relatives of elephants gradually evolved and spread beyond Africa into Europe, Asia, and eventually North America, adapting to a wide variety of climates and environments. Over countless generations, natural selection shaped these animals into several distinct species, each uniquely suited to the regions they inhabited, but none would become more famous than the woolly mammoth, the giant that came to symbolize the Ice Age itself. The woolly mammoth was perfectly adapted to life in a cold world, possessing a dense layer of insulating fat beneath its skin, a thick coat of coarse outer hair, and a soft underlayer of fur that protected it from temperatures that could plunge far below freezing. Its body was also shaped by the demands of its environment, with relatively small ears and a short tail that reduced heat loss, allowing the animal to conserve precious energy during long winters when survival depended on every possible advantage. Although many people imagine mammoths living in endless snowy wastelands, the reality was very different, because much of their habitat consisted of vast open grasslands known today as the mammoth steppe, one of the largest ecosystems ever to exist on Earth. These immense plains supported extraordinary numbers of grazing animals, including bison, horses, reindeer, musk oxen, and woolly rhinoceroses, creating a rich and dynamic environment despite the cold climate that characterized much of the region. Mammoths played a vital role within this ecosystem, constantly moving across enormous distances as they fed on grasses, shrubs, and other vegetation, helping shape the landscape in ways that influenced countless other species. Like modern elephants, mammoths were highly intelligent and social animals that likely lived in family groups led by experienced females whose knowledge of migration routes, feeding grounds, and seasonal changes was essential for the survival of the herd. Young mammoths spent years learning from older members of the group, developing social bonds and behaviors that would help them navigate an often dangerous world filled with predators, harsh weather, and environmental uncertainty. One of the most impressive features of the mammoth was its enormous tusks, which could grow to lengths exceeding 4 meters and served purposes far beyond simple defense against predators. Scientists believe these giant tusks were used to move snow in search of buried vegetation, compete with rivals, manipulate objects within the environment, and perhaps even play important roles in social displays and communication. For hundreds of thousands of years, mammoths flourished across the northern hemisphere, surviving repeated climate fluctuations that transformed landscapes and altered ecosystems on a continental scale. Yet during this long period of success, another species was gradually becoming more intelligent, more adaptable, and increasingly capable of reshaping the world around it. That species was Homo sapiens. As modern humans expanded into regions occupied by mammoths, they encountered animals unlike anything they had ever seen. Creatures so large and powerful that hunting them required planning, cooperation, courage, and sophisticated tools. Archaeological discoveries reveal that prehistoric humans hunted mammoths for meat, hides, fat, and bones, extracting enormous amounts of value from a single animal and using its resources to support entire communities. In some parts of Europe, researchers have even discovered structures built primarily from mammoth bones, providing remarkable evidence of the close relationship that existed between these giant animals and the humans who shared their world. For many years, scientists debated whether human hunting alone was responsible for the extinction of the mammoths, but the evidence increasingly suggests that the answer is far more complicated. As the last ice age came to an end, temperatures began rising across much of the northern hemisphere, triggering environmental changes that transformed the mammoth's habitat on an enormous scale. The grasslands that had supported mammoth populations for thousands of years gradually gave way to forests, wetlands, and other ecosystems less suitable for the grazing lifestyle upon which these animals depended. As habitats fragmented and populations became increasingly isolated from one another, mammoths faced mounting challenges that reduced their ability to recover from disease, environmental stress, and hunting pressure. Rather than disappearing suddenly, mammoths appear to have declined gradually over thousands of years, with some populations surviving long after others had vanished from the mainland. One of the most astonishing discoveries made by scientists is that small groups of woolly mammoths survived on remote Arctic islands until roughly 4,000 years ago, meaning they were still alive, while some of humanity's earliest civilizations were already flourishing. This remarkable overlap reminds us that mammoths are not ancient creatures separated from us by unimaginable spans of time, but animals that existed surprisingly recently in the broader timeline of human history. Today, the frozen regions of Siberia, Alaska, and northern Canada continue to preserve mammoth remains in extraordinary condition, sometimes including fur, skin, soft tissue, and even traces of blood and internal organs. These discoveries have revolutionized our understanding of mammoth biology, allowing scientists to study details that would normally disappear long before fossils could form. Advances in genetics have gone even further, enabling researchers to recover portions of mammoth DNA and compare them with that of modern elephants in unprecedented detail. Some scientists and biotechnology companies are now exploring the controversial possibility of creating animals that possess mammoth-like characteristics through advanced genetic engineering, an effort that has sparked both excitement and debate around the world. Supporters argue that such projects could help restore damaged Arctic ecosystems and advance conservation science, while critics question the ethical and practical implications of attempting to revive traits from a long-extinct species. Whether these efforts ultimately succeed or fail, they demonstrate the extraordinary impact that mammoths continue to have on science, culture, and the human imagination thousands of years after their disappearance. Their story is not simply one of extinction, but of adaptation, survival, environmental change, and the complex relationship between humanity and the natural world. Few animals have left such a lasting mark on our understanding of prehistory, and few continue to inspire as much curiosity among scientists and the public alike. In future episodes, we will explore how mammoths were hunted, what the Ice Age world truly looked like, how frozen mammoth discoveries are changing science, and whether humanity could one day create a new generation of mammoth-like animals. Because the mammoths were far more than giant elephants covered in fur. They were among the greatest survivors of the Ice Age, witnesses to a world that no longer exists, and enduring symbols of one of the most fascinating chapters in the history of life on Earth.